Hey guys, I'm back with another deck profile. Today I'm going to do my Cyberse deck profile. I haven't really gotten a chance to playtest the deck yet, so I'm not really sure how well it flows. I do have a Cyberse deck for Yugo Pro. I don't know if anybody plays Yugo Pro, but I do. And it's just a little bit different. This one's a Cyberse Synchro deck, so I'm just going to get into it and stop wasting your time. So first off, I have 3 copies of Cyberse Synchro. He's the only tuner in my deck, and he's pretty good. I mean, his effect lets me, I can target a level 4 or lower monster I control, and increase its level by its actual level. So like, say I just choose him, his level will be from 1 to 2. So it just doubles their level pretty much. And it helps with some synchro summons, you know. After that, this guy is probably the main person to help me bring out people in my deck. His name is Widget Kid. When he's summoned, I get special summon on a level 4 or lower Cyberse monster. So, usually what I like to do, because I get it in my hand a lot, so it lets me go on with this. So from Widget Kid, I just summon Lady Debug, and with Lady Debug, I get to go through my deck and get another Cyberse monster. And that lets me go into my links and my synchros and everything. So with Lady Debug, so pretty much how I do it is I summon Widget Kid, I bring out Lady Debug, and with her I usually target backup secretary. So I just do. She lets me special summon when I have a Cyberse monster on the field. And yeah, that's just about my favorite combo to use with this deck.
I love this combo.
So anyway, back to the monsters. I got 2 Catch Eye level 2s, or L2s. I put 2 in here because it's if this card's in your hand, I can target level 3 or higher monster I control, reduces level by 2, and special summon her. So I felt like if I have too many stars to synchro summon, I could use her, help me even it out, get a synchro summon off. But otherwise, I have an additional summon I could just link summon with it. So I put 2 in here for now. I haven't gotten a chance to test her out. So the may differ afterwards. Backup Secretary. Backup Secretary, you can only use her effect once per turn, but she special summons yourself if you control a Cyberse monster, which is nice. And then I have Ram Gladia. When she's summoned, I get to choose a Cyberse monster from my graveyard. That's
Go.
So yeah, besides letting me add a monster from my graveyard back to my hand, she also, if she gets destroyed by battle, I can get a level 4 or lower Cyberse monster and special summon it from my deck. Then I also have Realm Clouder. I have Clouder. I have 2 of him too. I like him even though other people don't really like him. So his effect is I contribute a monster to target a Cyberse monster in my graveyard and special summon it back. I mean, I know I lose a monster to gain a monster, but depending on the monster, I do kind of like that.
Can he drive it himself though?
Yeah.
Alright, just checking.
Yeah. Next, I have 2 copies of Boot Staggered. There. So, when a Cyberse monster is normal summoned, I could special summon him from my hand. I can only use that effect once per turn, but it's nice. And then he also has an effect to bring out a token if he deals damage. Or, I think, deal damage. Yeah, if he inflicts battle damage, he can summon a token. Next, I have Cyberse Converter. Cyberse Converter is, if all the monsters I control are Cyberse monsters, minimal 1, I can special summon him from my hand. I can only special summon once this way. And then his other effect, which is what I do kind of like is when this card's normal summoned, I can target a face-up monster I control and become Cyberse type until the end of the turn. And the reason I like that effect is because sometimes I get put in scenarios where my monsters, they get their types changed, so they're no longer Cyberse. And a lot of my Link monsters require Cyberse monsters. So with that effect, I'm able to just turn them back into Cyberse to bring out a Link monster.
Dude, you don't need to have PTSD for DNA surgery.
Sure it is. No, it's not just DNA surgery. It's other cards. But next I have Balancer Lord. So Balancer Lord, I pay 1,000 life points. I get an extra normal summon in the turn. Then I also have Cyberse White Hat, who, when I control 2 or more Cyberse monsters, I can special summon him from my hand. And when he's sent to the graveyard and used for Link summon, it reduces all my opponent's monsters by 1,000 attack. So, after that, I got Degrade Buster, who, there we go. That looks about right. Yeah, sure. So Degrade Buster is, he can't be normal summoner set. He has to be special summoned from my hand by banishing 2 Cyberse monsters from my graveyard. And I can target a monster my opponent controls that has higher attack than him. And it's a quick effect. It lets me banish it until the end of the turn. So that means I could use it during either player's turn. So if my opponent summons a monster stronger than him, I could just banish it, leave the field a little bit more open. This last card I have is called Salvagant Driver, I think. Not really sure.
Gent, let us know in the comment section.
Anyway, so his effect is if a Cyberse Lynx monster I control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect while he's in my hand or my graveyard, I can special summon him. And I could just, his other effect is I could discard a spell that target a Cyberse monster in my graveyard and special summon it back. So that lets me go into more Link summons or possibly Synchro summons, depending on what I can bring back and if I have my tuner available to me. So that's it for the monster section. I'm going to the spell section. The first spell I have is Monster Reborn. Doesn't really need an introduction.
Reborn!
Special summon a monster from either graveyard to my side of the field. After that, I also have Hatronade, which I think is pretty cool because it just returns all set spells and traps to the hands. So, you know, if I'm about to make a big play, just play that real fast in case there's any solemns or anything. They either have to counter or just let everything get returned to their hand. After that, I have Link Bound. I have Link Bound in here because I don't really have a lot of draw power in the deck. Spell or trap wise. Or any-wise, really. So, what this does is Link Bound will let me choose a Link monster from my graveyard, return it to my action deck, and then I get to draw cards equal to its Link markers. But then I also have to put the same number of cards on the bottom, so it's kind of like a reload, if anybody remembers that card. Next I have Cosmic Cyclone, pay 1,000, banish a spell or trap. I have Scapegoats, because tokens. I also have Twin Twisters, again for back row. After that I have Unisong Tuning. So this card lets me target a tuner in either player's graveyard and a face-up monster on the field. I could banish the tuner from the graveyard, and then that monster that was targeted on the field, his level becomes the banished monster's level, and he becomes a tuner. So, in case I don't have any tuners, I could use that, get a new tuner. It'd probably be helpful. The last card for my spell cards, I have 2 copies of Sign It Backdoor. So, Sign It Backdoor is, I can target a Cyberse monster I control, banish it, and if I do, add 1 Cyberse monster from my deck to my hand whose attack is lower than that monster's attack, original attack. And then during my next standby phase, I return the banished monster back to the field. So that'll help with like relocating Link monsters or just fixing up my board a little bit, but it could also like be used to avoid like a Mirror Force or Raigeki or Dark Hole, stuff like that. So it's always nice. And then moving on to the trap cards, I have one copy of Faithful Hour because if I knew more, I probably will put a second one in there, but I'm gonna try out one for now and see how that works. Because initially I thought it was like just monsters that say in their card decks that they cannot be normal summon or set. I didn't realize like what its effects actually meant, which is you could target like all pretty much extra deck monsters that were summoned and in the graveyard currently. Didn't really realize that at first. Next I have Parallel Port Armor. It lets me target a link monster I control. I can equip it to it. My opponent can't target the equipped monster with card effects, and it can't be destroyed by battle. But then it has an additional effect where I could banish it and 2 link monsters from my graveyard and target a link monster I control. And I can attack twice during each battle phase. Another one I have is Cyberse Beacon. So if I took any damage by battle or by opponent's card effect this turn, I can add a level 4 or lower Cyberse monster from my deck to my hand. So normally I use that on like Widget Kid or Lady Debug, one of those. I have a Storming Mirror Force because I feel returning monsters to the hand works much better nowadays. And it doesn't target, so that's nice too. I also have a limit code, so if I have any Cyberse Link monsters in my graveyard, I could place a counter, I think. Yeah, I can place 1 counter on this card for each of those Link monsters in my graveyard. And then I could special summon a Code Talker monster from my extra deck, and he gets to stay on the field until all the counters are removed or until he's destroyed or anything. But the counters is once per turn during my end phase I remove a counter. So that's good if you like have nothing else you could do. You could use that, special summon a Code Talker. Then you can actually just use that Code Talker and relink into a different monster. Following that, I have Signet Regression, which is if I special summon a link monster, I could target a card on the field and destroy it, and then I get to draw a card. So, I could use that in on my opponent's back row usually. I don't really target monsters. Next is Recode Alive. So this card, I can target a Link 3 monster if I control or it's in my graveyard and banish it. And if I do, I can special summon a Code Talker monster from my extra deck. So it's kind of like limit code, but it differs in that if I control no monsters in my extra monster zone, I could banish this card from the graveyard and then target a banished Code Talker monster and special summon it. So sometimes I like to use Signet Backdoor and banish a Code Talker, and then I can use Recode Alive and bring back that Code Talker and just do like a small little combo. Sometimes it helps. But alright, on to the counter traps. So I have 4 counter traps in this deck, 2 of which are Dark Bread, because I like to negate spells and traps. I feel spells and traps are what slow me down the most. I have 1 copy of Solemn Strike for the monsters that are hard to get rid of. I'll try to get rid of them before they can get out there. And then probably one of my favorite old cards, Negate Attack. I think I always put a Negate Attack in my deck for some reason. It's like it's protection. Counter trap, so you can't counter it really. And it just ends the battle phase after it stops the attack. Now moving on to the extra deck, I have 2 copies of Cyberse Wicked. Wicked is a Link 2 monster with 800 attack, and she actually lets me search out for my tuner. So what her effect says is that this Link summon card cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. Cyberse monsters this card points to cannot be destroyed by card effects. And if a monster or monsters to a zone or zones this card points to while you control this monster. What? If a monster or monster is special summon to a zone she points to while I control her, I can banish a Cyberse monster from my graveyard and add a Cyberse tuner from my deck to my hand. Next is Underclock Taker. I like having Underclock Taker because I can target any face-up monster and another monster that my opponent controls, and just usually I use it to reduce the attack, try to make it more hittable. Because not many of my cards in this deck have good power. So I also have Flame Manipulator. He's pretty good because he gives all my Link monsters 800 attack. That's the main reason why I like him. He just is able to buff my Link monsters. Then I have Detonate the Leader, who's actually another new card. And his effect is once per turn at the start of the damage step, when he battles a face-up monster that is not Link 3 or higher, he can destroy that monster. And then he also has another effect where it's once per turn I could tribute a monster he points to and target one monster on the field, my opponent's field, and destroy it. So I have 2 destruction effects, one of which is for all monsters that aren't Link 3 or higher, which is pretty nice because I could attack like a Blue Eyes or something and he'd be able to destroy it, as long as like there's no protection vectors. Anyway, next is Encode Talker. So Encode Talker is before damage calculation, if a monster he points to does battle with an opponent's monster that has a higher attack than it, I can stop that monster, my monster, from being destroyed by battle. And then after damage calculation, which I take no battle damage for that battle anyway, but after damage calculation, I can have one monster he points to gain attack equal to the attack of the opponent's monster that my monster battled. So I guess in a way he's kind of like has like an honest effect, which is pretty nice. Next is Xcode Talker. Xcode Talker, his effect is when he's Link Summon, I could choose any unused main monster zones to the number of monsters currently in the extra monster zone, and those monster zones can't be used. That's like ground collapse kind of. Anyway, and monsters, him included, monsters that he points to gain 500 attack, and they can't be destroyed by card effects. So, moving on, we have Power Code Talker. Power Code Talker, his effect is I could target a face-up monster on the field, negate its effects, and then once per turn I could, if he battles an opponent's monster, I could tribute a monster and have his attack become double his attack. So his attack would be 46. And if I negated that monster's effects, then most likely it'll hit. Next up is Decode Talker. Decode Talker, he gains 500 attack for every monster he points to. And his other effect is if my opponent would use a card effect that targets, pretty much. So, yeah. Just any card effect that targets, I can tribute a monster he points to and just negate the effect. That's a quick effect there.
Seems like your Code Talker lifeline got extended. Yeah.
Yeah. And then my final Link monster is Transcode Talker. So Transcode Talker is probably like my most used Code Talker, because he lets me link summon, or he doesn't let me link summon. He lets me special summon a monster from my graveyard that's Link 3 or lower to a zone he points to, which is pretty nice because usually I just do that, bring out like a Link 2 or something, and just relink into another Code Talker to build up my Code Talkers on my field. And then his other effect is the cards he's co-linked to, they both gain 500 attack, and him and the co-link card can't be targeted by opponent's card effects. Alright, moving on. The final 5 cards in my action deck are Synchro monsters. The first up is Cyberse Integrator. So Cyberse Integrator, his effect is when he synchro summons, I can special summon the Cyberse tuner from my hand or my graveyard in defense position. And then I can't special summon for this turn except Cyberse monsters. So that's a little restricting, but if I use him after he's synchro summoned for any sent to the graveyard, so if I use him for like another synchro summon, or if I use him for like a link summon, I get to draw an additional card. So it's pretty nice. Next up, I have 2 copies of Cyberse Quantum Dragon. So he's one of the new Synchro monsters that came out in the Savage Strike pack. And his effect is while I control a link monster, monsters my opponent control cannot target monsters I control for attacks, except for him. And then he's also, my opponent can't target monsters I control with card effects, except for him. So basically, he just makes all my other monsters protected while I control a link monster. And his other effect is once returned at the start of the damage step, if he battles an opponent's monster, I can return that monster to my opponent's hand, and he can also make a second attack. So he's good because even though he only has 2,500 attack, I can return monsters to my opponent's hand and attack, so I don't need to battle necessarily. And he gets rid of the targeting for other cards. And if I use him for like and I had like Decode Talker on the field too. If something tried to target him, I could just use Decode Talker and get rid of a card, stop it from destroying him, or whatever the targeting effect would do that's negative. Next up is Stardust Dragon, because I have a lot of countering for targets. So targeting effects, I have a lot that can counter that. But actual destruction, I don't really have much that deals with that. So I put Stardust in this deck, because that's usually one of my big downfalls. And when like somebody plays a card effect that doesn't really target or doesn't really do that, then I usually kind of get screwed over a little bit. So have Stardust in there to try to up my chances, so to speak. He'll let me survive because Stardust effect is if a card or effect is activated that would destroy a card or cards on the field, I can send him to the graveyard, I think it is, till the end phase of the turn. Yeah. So I attribute him, and during the end phase, if I use this effect, he can come back to the field. So again, it'll let me move so I can organize my field a little bit better. And he also negates a destruction effect, which is nice. The final card in my extra deck is Beelzes. And that's good. Right. Anyway, so Beelzes of the Diabolic Dragons. He's pretty cool because he can't be destroyed by battle or by card effect. But he does have a downside because no other monsters can attack. But he has 4,000 attack and defense, and he can't be destroyed by battle or by card effect, so as long as I play my cards right, don't really need other monsters to attack when he's on the field. He has an additional effect where I can target a monster an opponent controls, and any damage I take, my opponent would take, would be halved. And that monster's attack is turned to 0, and I gain life points equal to that monster's attack. So that's good for like life point regain, and also good just in case like my opponent has something stronger than him or something. I could just lower its attack to 0 and attack. It'll still do 2,000 points, and I'll gain the life points. So it's a pretty nice effect. But yeah, that's it for my deck profile. If you guys liked it, let me know. If you didn't like it, let me know. I mean, I'm open to suggestions. Tell me what I did that you didn't like. Tell me what I did that you did like. And I'll see you next time.